Welcome back to BrickHouse Security Training videos on the VSS system. This is the fifth video. This is going to talk about how to recover video evidence. For example, if one of your vehicles is in an accident or some sort of an incident and you want to find out what really happened. So basically, to give you a bit of an overview, the camera system records 100% of the vehicle's activity 100% of the time it's on the road. So when the ignition is turned on, the camera system comes on, and from that moment it's recording, it's recording all the cameras involved, which could be forward facing, interior facing, or a third camera as well. And there's a delay timer, typically set to 30 minutes, so that when you turn the key off, it's still recording for another 30 minutes after that. So as long as the ignition is on or within the delay timer period, then you should have the video evidence that you need to recover. The video is not sent to the cloud, unlike you might think, and some competitors might tell you that everything goes to the cloud. It's simply not the case. It would be way too much data, and the cost would be very, very high. So the most economical way is to record the video on the device itself, but then we have the ability of pulling that information off the device whenever we need it. Some things are stored in the cloud, which are typically things like predefined events. For example, if it's an AI-powered camera and the driver's wandering lanes or following too close or what have you, then of course those type of events can be sent to the evidence dashboard. But most of the time where you need to recover an incident, it wouldn't have been triggered by one of those predefined events anyway. It's typically something you want to grab and download from the camera itself. So when the driver tells you that he was in some sort of a situation or an accident or what have you, it's important that we ask him three questions. Number one, where? Number two, when? And number three, what? In other words, where did it occur? When did it occur? And what happened? So that we have some context and we know which cameras to look at and so on. So we're going to say that this particular vehicle is van 27, and this event happened on last Friday, at around 11:30, 11:45 a.m. On Escondido, and he ran into the back of another vehicle. That's where that's the what. So what happened is he ran into the back of another vehicle. Okay, so now we know enough to kind of start looking for more granular detail. So first thing we're going to do is go to the locate system here, go to the reports, pull up the trip and parking report for this particular vehicle for the 7th. I'm going to press the 7th on both the beginning and to, on the from and to, then click execute. That's going to pull up a trip and parking report. And the reason we want to start with this is because usually when an accident occurs or some sort of an event, the driver stops after. He doesn't keep on driving. So this gentleman here ran into the back of another vehicle at around 1 or 11:45, I think it was. And so we're going to look and see if he stopped around that time. We know that it happened on Escondido, and we know that it happened around 11:45, and sure enough, there's a parking event where he parked for 9 minutes on Escondido. And so we know that the accident probably occurred just before he parked. So we probably need to look at around 11:44 a.m. So this is good information to kind of isolate so that we don't waste a bunch of time and a bunch of data looking at video when we really all we need is 30 seconds or a minute of video to find out what really occurred. So now we're going to go to the VSS system, and we're going to go to under the evidence tab, we're going to go to historical video, choose historical video, choose the vehicle at the top, which is van 27, and the vehicle has to be online because we're pulling the information right from the storage medium of the camera. Okay, so it has to be online at the time. And so we'll choose van 27. We're going to choose the 7th, and then we're going to click on the 7th again so that it populates the full day. And that automatically will pull the history off the SD card of the camera, so we can see everywhere it was green, the vehicle was online. So we can see every time the vehicle was stopped, there's a white. Don't forget that there's a 30-minute delay timer typically programmed into the camera. So when you turn the key off, it still continues to record for 30 minutes after, or whatever that is set to. So once that timeout period expires, then it would become a white area because it wouldn't have any recording. So in any case, we know that we're looking for around 11:45 a.m. And so what we're going to do is, and we know that he ran into the back of somebody, so we know we need to look at the front camera. So we're going to choose front camera here. Okay. You could choose select all, and that will play all the cameras, but we're just going to choose the front camera. And then we're going to position our mouse going from left to right. We're just going to slide across until we see around 11:45. There's 11:44. And we're just going to double click, and that's going to start playing the front camera. Okay, I'm going to pause that so I can talk for 1 second. He ran into the back of somebody, and that's the van that he ran into the back of up ahead. If we had have chosen the rear camera, for example, and I double clicked on the timeline, I just wanted to make sure that this was clear to you, then that's going to show the rear camera. So that's why we're choosing. I'm going to stop that now. I just wanted to show you. So that's why we're choosing, front camera. And this is very good because you can pull up, for example, at 5:26 this morning, if I double click, it's going to start playing the front camera at 5:26 this morning. There it goes. So we're looking for around 11:45 again. So there we go, 11:44:35, double click. So this is a good way of kind of hopping back and forth until you find the event. There's that. We're going to pretend that he ran into that van. He didn't really, but we're going to pretend that that's what occurred. So we now have already managed to nail down the time pretty close to when this accident occurred. We can see that it's 11:44:51 on the camera right now, and he's coming up behind that van. We're going to pretend that he ran into that van around, just right up ahead. So we're going to stop that because we know that occurred around 11:44 this morning. So now what we're going to do is we're going to choose file list instead of the timeline. We're going to scroll down to 11:45, and there we go there. So we can see that there's a slice from the front camera starting at 11:44:45. And the next slice of the front camera is 11:50. So you can see that that's a full 5 minutes, and we don't need 5 minutes. So what we're going to do is we're going to re-query. Instead of going, when we first query, we got the entire day. Now we're just going to choose 11:40. Let's choose 11:44. Okay. And then on the right side of the calendar, we're going to choose 11:46. So that'll give us a 2-minute slice. And we're going to go 00 for seconds. Okay, so you can see we've got 11:44 to 11:46. We're going to click search again. That's going to re-query the device and show us a much smaller timeline. And we can see where it occurred on the map, by the way, which we can zoom in and out of and make sure that we're in the right place. And we're going to go to the file list now and see how that looks. So we can see here we've got a slice from 11:44. Let's see here. We've got a slice of the front camera that's 75 seconds long, starting at 11:44:45, and it's only 20 megabytes. So that's very reasonable. Let's play that and see if that's going to capture the event. And there it is. So that should capture the event just fine because we're getting enough context before, and we're going to probably get enough context after. You can see that he was pulling up behind that vehicle just almost exactly 11:45, and we're going to have probably about a minute after that. So what we've done is we've narrowed it down in an efficient manner to a small enough chunk that we can simply download it now. So we're going to press the little download button beside this piece of video, and it says this file's been added to the download list. And sometimes you might want to get some additional context by grabbing another camera. So we can grab the rear camera as well if we want. I'm going to press the download button on. Actually, I'm going to wait on that until we have the first one downloaded. So now that I've selected to download it, we can go to the top here. There's an icon that looks like a cloud with a download arrow. Click on that, and that'll show us that it's 81% downloaded now. And you can refresh it in the top left here. So now it's 100%. And I can now click the little download button right here, and that's going to put it right in my hard drive. There we go. It's now, you can see it's being downloaded to my Mac here, and it's now done. So now that we've got that file, let's grab the rear as well. I'm going to press the little download button on that. It says it's been added to the download list. I can bring up the download list by clicking on the cloud. You can see there's a red dot up there now, by the way. It tells you that there's downloading going on. And there we go. You can see we already got the front camera, and I can click the little refresh button. I can go away. I don't have to watch this. I can go away and come back later, and it'll be there when we're back. Or I can just leave the window open and then periodically refresh it to grab the evidence. Now, while we're waiting for that, we're going to go to videolan.org, videolan.org, enter, because this is the people that make the VLC media player, which is a very good media player, and we're using the latest H.265 technology, which is called HLEC, and Microsoft doesn't support it unless you spend an extra $1 on their plugin. We don't really need to do that because the VLC player is very good, and it plays the audio, it plays the video, and it plays all formats. So you can go ahead and download the Mac or Windows version of that, which I already have, so I'm not going to bother downloading it. And then you'll have that when you're ready to play that video. Then we'll be able to use that to do so. So now I'm going to go back to the download function here, and you can see it's at 100%. So I'm going to grab the rear camera by clicking download. There we go. I've now got both those files in there. I'm going to open up my File Explorer, which you have in Windows as well. So we'll sort by date. Go to the top, and there we go. There's our two movies. So I'm going to open up the first one. I'm going to go right-click, Open With, and choose VLC. And you'll need to do in a Windows computer, you'll need to do the same thing to choose. You might have to, it's a little bit different on a Windows PC. The first time you play it, you might need to go Open With, and then there's 2 or 3 motions you have to go through where you go and find the file on your computer. So anyways, I'm now going to tell it to open that file with the VLC app, and that should pull that up now in my computer. I'm running on 3 monitors here, so I'm waiting for that to show up. There it is. And so there's our file, and I've got full audio with it. I can hear the audio as well. You probably can't hear it because I'm on a headset. And so there's your evidence. And you can obviously pause that. You can drag the slider bar over, and so on and so forth. So you can speed it up. There we go. We're going to pretend he ran into the back of that van right there. Okay. So now I've got the file now. I'm going to close this, and I'm going to open up the second one, which is the rear camera. Right-click, Open with VLC. And there we go. There's the rear camera. And there's your evidence. Okay, so now what you might want to do is you might want to share that evidence with the police or with somebody else in your office or what have you. And the easiest way to do that would be to use Google Drive, which if you have a Gmail account, you get 15 gigabytes of free storage on Google Drive, or you could use Dropbox, and so I could create a folder within Google Drive called Evidence, and then I could simply drag and drop those 2 files in there and then send the link to that folder to the insurance company or whoever you want to share it with, or drag it into your Dropbox folder. There's all sorts of public shareable drives that you can use. Most of them are free, so that's how I'd recommend you do that. And that's basically how you grab the evidence. Now, by the way, when you're looking at this kind of downloaded information, you can go to the speed trends, and this is very useful as well. For example, you can see the vehicle slowing down, and as I was saying, quite often, like let's just research this here from say a bigger period. Let's go 1140 to 1150. Okay, search. And it's going to pull up the timeline like we talked about. It's going to pull up the file list like we talked about, that shows the size of the file, the length of the file, and the name of the camera. And it's also going to show the speed trend. This is very useful because I can see when the vehicle stopped. He was stopped here and he was stopped again over here. So this pretty much tells you, this is exactly where he stopped at 11:46:38. And I probably need to look at the video right around, right before that, like we talked about. And sure enough, that's when it occurred. So you can also see voltage trends of the vehicle. Not that that matters now, but just so you know. So that's a very practical way of grabbing evidence without wasting a ton of data. Try to get it down to a minute or less by narrowing it down using the timeline, and then once you have the timeline kind of narrowed down, then re-query it with a tighter from and to period like we talked about, and then go back to the file list and see what you're dealing with, how large the file is. As I said, it shouldn't be any larger than 100 megabytes, but usually you can get an accident down to 30 to 50 or 60 megabytes per camera, and that's a reasonable size to go and grab. And when you do query the camera, you notice that it also lit up the camera with green dots for every other day that it has video evidence. So that's kind of nice. I know, for example, if I click on the 4th, it's automatically going to show me the timeline from the 4th. And at least it should, unless the camera just went offline here. So maybe he must have just gone offline. So in any case, just so you know, it'll tell you what other days you have evidence for. So that, in a nutshell, is how you grab video evidence. Thank you very much for watching.